Hey everyone, welcome back to Absolutely. My name is Benny. That is Sal. And today we're going to talk about the fact that Deadpool 3 just got ruined. Ruined.
Probably.
But today's episode is brought to you by Into the AM. They make these incredibly soft t-shirts with amazing designs that rotate on the regular. And they've been supporting the channel now for pretty close to a year, and we highly recommend them. You can go to their shop and get 10% off using the code Absolutely, or click the link down below. Show your support for the channel, show your support for these great shirts, and go get yourself an Into the AM shirt today. All right, so
yeah, Deadpool 3 may be ruined, and the reason is because the last time the writer's strike happened and a Fox X-Men property was in the works, you might not remember, but it starred Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, and it was called X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it was the worst ever.
Well, it's not just that. So for those of people who don't know, what's going on right now is the writer's strike is happening. And the last time this did happen, like he said, movies got ruined, TV shows got ruined. Infamously, Heroes got just destroyed because of the writer's strike.
Yeah.
But what it boils down to is they're trying to fight for rights at the moment because of what's going on is everything's moving over to streaming services and they don't have any residuals anymore. The way writing in Hollywood used to work is you would write a show, and if that show was successful, it would go into syndication. Syndication means that it was being picked up by other networks to air in reruns. Think of Seinfeld or Friends or those kinds of shows. If you were on the writing team for that team, when it went into syndication, you got a residual check. So between jobs, writers would have these residual checks to allow them to live. And, you know, and if you were a really successful writer, you just started stockpiling residual checks. With the streaming services, nothing goes into syndication because it never even airs on TV. And we're doing things like making 6 episodes of a show instead of 22. When a show used to have 22, you would have 5 years. Once your show hit 5 years, you were a success. You were allowed to make money forever, basically.
Yeah.
But you put the work in for that. On top of that, there's also been cuts in writers' teams going from an example, 10 people, bringing it down to 4. And the problem with that is, and what they're doing is they're bringing in people, they're writing up the shows, and then they're kicking everyone out. And when you need to change things on the set, you need people that are creative and funny and able to do so. And when you cut your team down to 2, 3, 4 people, they're not there to do this. So the writers have gone on strike until we can come up with new laws, new regulations, and new ways to handle streaming services, writers' rooms, and stuff like that. On top of which is don't use Chat GPT. The reason for that argument boils down to twofold. One, it's putting writers out of work. 2, nothing original will ever get made by AI. Whatever you think you're making that is original and incredible and it's going to be awesome. And I am not getting rid of the usefulness of AI, but AI uses human stuff, things that have been created in humanity, from creativity to scripts to behaviorisms to tropes, and it creates them out of existing properties. So in order to keep things new and original, we need people. And I think I just boiled down the entire Writers Guild strike in a nutshell.
Yeah, if you still disagree, I can't help you. But all I do know is your favorite creations, your favorite ideas are not getting the proper compensation they need, and so right. That's all we can say about that. But
so how does this affect Deadpool 3? I found the most direct way that this affects Deadpool 3.
Yeah,
Ryan Reynolds is a writer on Deadpool 3. With the writer strike happening, Ryan Reynolds can't improv because that would be rewriting a script.
Yeah, he's technically a member of the Writers Guild as well, so he'd be in violation of that. If he were to be caught, he would be ejected from the guild, and he would theoretically not be able to get as many jobs, and he certainly wouldn't be, he'd be ostracized within his own community, which is not fair. But yeah, so you know that most of the Deadpool movies, the reason you like them is because A, Ryan Reynolds is in them, and B, Ryan Reynolds is the creative force behind them. His improv is why people like these movies. And
they write up the movies, but then he just changes as needed as he's going, because Deadpool's known for improv, so on the cuff improv works.
Yeah.
So can Deadpool 3 work without Ryan Reynolds being allowed to change the script?
And is he capable of doing that? Can he just can he just show up and then go, oh well, anyway, that's all that the script said, so I guess I'll see you tomorrow? I mean, or are they going to do some things where it's he's wearing a mask, just have him stand there for 10 minutes, and then we'll just fill it in after the writer's strike is over.
Yeah. I was wondering that too. I'm like, I wonder if they're going to let him do normal, but the only take they can technically keep until the writer's strike is over
is the
that
scripted one. Oh, that's
yes.
not a bad idea. That's even better. That's a
Because they
way
just
better
let him do his
idea.
thing, but if
Yep.
this goes all the way, they can't use anything that isn't writers, like, approved.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we know of other cuts of Deadpool movies. So they could always be like, oh, that was the. But the thing that really, like, the bee in my bonnet, so to speak, in this situation is that I don't want the first Fox X property made by the Marvel Studios to be really, really bad.
Yeah.
And not having the essential components of a movie on the set while you're making the movie is folly. Now, that being said, Marvel Studios deserves what they get if they're going to continue despite not like they're major perpetrators of this writer's problem. And so they need to be held accountable and they should be responsible enough to go, we should either like make a deal right now or table Deadpool 3 until we're ready.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that. And that's like,
No.
you kind of deserve what you get. You reap what you sow. If you
Oh,
think you're better than writers and you think you're better than just having the script on hand and not being able to do rewrites, you deserve the failure that comes with it.
I actually found it really funny the amount of articles that are coming out being like, the latest one I saw was Thunderbolts on indefinite hiatus.
Yes,
Due to
that's
the writer's strike. Well, no shit, everything's on hiatus. If you can't write the script, you can't go forward. What are you talking
exactly.
about?
No, there's no date on it. That's what indefinite hiatus means. Is just like it's on hiatus until you have an idea, like until you have a date in mind. But until you don't, it's indefinite. But yeah, man, it's a quagmire. I don't want this movie to suck. I was
No,
not a,
it can't. This
I
cannot be
wasn't a
his
huge
legacy.
fan of friggin' Deadpool 2, to be perfectly honest with you. I liked it enough, but I didn't love it. And I feel like part of it was that it got away from itself. And I don't know. I'm just really worried that this is going to be another one of those situations.
It's funny because I barely remember the plot to Deadpool 2. I was thinking about that the other day, and I remember
Right?
Deadpool 1 pretty well.
Yeah.
And Deadpool 2, I really don't. You know,
Yeah.
like, it was like, I remember some of the scenes, like the Brad Pitt at the wires and the casting the X-Force. That was cool.
Yeah.
But I don't remember it as well as the
Right?
first one.
No.
I just don't think it stuck with me as well. So I can't imagine if they're not even allowed to try and make Deadpool 3 better, how that's going to go.
Right?
I also don't know why it's just not put on hold. Just put it on hold.
You just wait. I mean, like the writer strike can't, and this is where we cut to me being wrong. But like the writer strike, it can't go on for like years, but it will throw off. The
Is
thing
this
is,
gonna turn into a meme in a year where it's like, "This aged well"?
yeah, this age like milk. You know what ages milk? You know what ages like milk more than those comments? That comment. Like, but yeah, man, I'm worried. But the point is, it can't go on forever. The problem is, like, oh boy, if I want Deadpool 3 to come out in the next 2 years, it needs to be like filmed now.
Yeah.
Like we need to start filming it soon.
Oh, they're gonna have CG. I mean, it's a Marvel property. It's gonna be CG all over that thing now. I mean, but I think what made Deadpool 1 and 2 good is the lower budget, meaning less CG, more practicality. I
Mhm.
liked that.
Yeah,
And now we're going away from it because Marvel's got their hands in it.
yeah. No, I know. I'm really worried. Is there any chance that because the thing is they already have a system in place, right? So they're in production, they're working on the movie, so they have a cadence and a system in which the movie is being made. Let's say that the writer's strike ends tomorrow. Will they be able to recover and alter the way they do business or doing business right now with this production, incorporating the new situation? I wonder if you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like
Yeah.
the movie's going to be without writers until release. That sucks. Or the movie has the script and you're just adhering to the script, no changes, and that is what it can be. But then halfway through production, they're like, "Oh, the writers can come back." Like you might be in a situation where they're like, "Oh, I'm looking at this and this is a terrible movie. We got to start over from scratch." So it's like you might as well just wait it.
Yeah, I mean that's why that's my concern. Deadpool 3 is going to be terrible because you like when I heard about the writer's strike and the Deadpool 3 is moving forward, I'm like, okay, they can't do rewrites, but
Right.
he is still improvs. He improv. We're going to be fine.
Exactly.
He improvs, but apparently we can't do that. Now I'm
No.
worried.
Now that being said, I want to know more about where that rumor came from in the first place because like that sounds like something that may have come from like a podcast. Like I wonder if it's actually true that Ryan Reynolds can't improv. Like if Ryan Reynolds himself. Now here's the thing. Like can you imagine? You want to talk about conspiracy theories in our last episode, which you check out. But what if because like the rumor is that Ryan Reynolds leaked the test footage for Deadpool 1, which got Deadpool into a franchise in the first place, right? Like that was the
this
rumor.
is everywhere. Every website. You can't improvise. You can't improvise. I don't
Right.
know where it started.
Right. What if it started with Ryan Reynolds? What if Ryan Reynolds said that to make people freak out and demand that a deal be struck? Like he's like, look, I'm making Deadpool 3. It's getting Hugh Jackman. It's in the MCU. It's going to be a big deal. So
Yeah.
I have the kind of clout that you would hope that someone with that kind of clout would use to try and further the cause for the WGA. He's a member of the union. So it's like it makes me think dude's not a scab. Maybe he's like, no, I'll slip this rumor in here. Ryan Reynolds can't. It's like Ryan Reynolds being like, Deadpool can't have his swords in the movie for some reason. You know, like him just creating some rumor of something untenable that the audience would be really upset about. Like, oh, I don't know, Ryan Reynolds can't improv. You know, it's like, oh, Wolverine can't pop his claws in this movie unless we get a deal.
You know okay, I mean?
So
I got the actual rule.
Okay,
and this is what I don't think it was ever stated anywhere. I think people are now in a panic because they realized it. Improvised dialogue is something of a gray area in terms of what the WGA qualifies as writing. During the 07-08 strike, some late-night talk show hosts returned to fully improvised episodes, although Jay Leno earned backlash for writing monologues. Meanwhile, actors are still allowed to ad-lib spontaneous dialogue while filming, and on some productions, studio bosses are likely hoping that actors will pick up the slack from the striking writers. But if those actors are also a WGA member with a writing credit, they face more scrutiny about following the strike guidelines, an issue with improv-centric comedy struggled with during the last strike. So what this is basically stating is you can't improv unless you're a WGA credited writer, which Ryan Reynolds is. That's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough, right?
Deadpool 3 is actually a textbook example of how studios are pressuring filmmakers to break the strike and gambling with the quality of these movies in the process. So maybe he didn't leak it. Maybe the studio leaked it.
Yeah, it could. I mean, the fact is you could see either of them making a case for it to try and court public opinion, get people upset at one side or another. Like, listen, Ryan Reynolds can't improv, means the movie's going to suck unless they figure it out and make a deal. But you could say that either side would say that.
By insisting on filming projects like Deadpool and Andor through the strike, Disney is accused of union-busting tactics. So they're doing this to force people to try and end the strike early.
Well, and I know that Disney in particular, I think, is perpetrating another union-busting tactic in this, which is insisting that writers are also production assistants or production leaders. And so, like, while you may be striking as a writer, you still have responsibilities as a production member. And so you still have to come to set and do your job. And it's just that you won't be doing the writing part of your job, except that writing is all you do. So, like, obviously it's a catch-22. I heard that was a thing, but I heard about that like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I don't know what the resolution for that was. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. I'm worried. I don't want bad product. I don't want these movies to be crappy, but I also really, but more important than Deadpool 3, which is a movie that, like, you know, we were all hyped for when it was announced. I want these people to get what they deserve. No sinister motivations intended. I'm just saying I want them to get their fair share, and there's enough money to go around. Well,
that's the biggest argument. Everyone thinks writers are just trying to get rich. They're just trying to make a livable wage.
Exactly.
Like, there's enough money when you have $1 billion franchise. There's enough money to give people livable wages. Like,
if the head of your studio can pay himself a bonus of $20 to $200 million, there's enough money to be made. I mean, it's just common sense. And what we shouldn't, as consumers, accept is if an agreement is made and then suddenly all our streaming subscriptions go up by $10. Because I only see I have lived and breathed enough on this planet to have this rule set in stone that is that corporations, if they are given an opportunity, an inch, they will take that opportunity or mile to charge and take advantage of its consumers over themselves.
Yeah.
And so if let's say they make a deal, and I don't know what the numbers are, but let's just make up one where they need to increase their revenue by like 25% or 10%. Astronomical numbers, but I'm just using them as placeholders because it doesn't really matter what the number is. But I better not see these streaming services increase by the percentage that they agreed to pay their writers, so that because that is not where the writers want their money to come from. It's not, you know what I mean? That's not how that works.
Right. You
Just
don't
like,
just
just
try
like
to make more money to pay what you agreed to pay them. You just pay. They're just trying to get the money that is already
that
earned.
is already there, that you're already bringing in. It's like saying that, how come if inflation 6%, how come everything didn't go up only 6%? That's not how inflation works, and it's not
Right.
how finances work. It's not how these people are getting paid. So, but I know that corporate America doesn't give a crap about that, and I know that they'd be like, ooh, people are stupid. If I tell everyone that like we increase their pay by this much and then increase their subscription services by that much, they'll make the correlation that
Yeah.
those two things are related in some way. So keep that in mind, folks. No, there's already money. Let them work it out themselves. Don't let them screw you.
But all right, that's going to be a wrap on today's episode. Thank you for watching today's episode of Absolutely. I'm Benny. That is Sal, and this is our opinions on the Deadpool 3 situation. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time right here